This is the June 9, 2023, and I read this morning that Pat Robertson have passed away, and I have some things to tell you about Pat Robertson, because I lived in Virginia Beach and around the Virginia Beach, so my church was that church that Pat Robertson gave money to. He was the one that, in reality, he owned that church. And I'm not going to talk about political things because I don't know so much about political things in the United States. It's not about that. I am going to talk about my meeting with Pat Robertson. And the church is one of United States' biggest church, Rock Church International in Virginia Beach. And that was my church for a long time. A long time for me is it more than 6 weeks. But I was to that church from the start. When I come to United States, I was first around a little, come from Seattle, up in the north to Chicago, and then down to Florida, to Daytona Beach, and to West Palm Beach, and then up again to Daytona Beach, and then I come to North Carolina, and for some days, and then I try to remember the name of that city. It was a small city. I think it was Hillsborough, something like that. And I come to Virginia Beach after that. And I be so very surprised because I had, before I left Sweden, I had a vision, and when I come to that house where I should rent a room from this woman, when she come and met me at the station, Greyhound bus station, and I have told you about it, you that have followed me, my meeting with her. And she lived in Virginia Beach, and she was very wealthy because she was married wealthy to a military man that had passed away. So she had a big house, so she rent out rooms in that big house. And then she took me to her church, the one that she was in, and that was Rock Church International. So I come to be there in that church, and it was very quick. This woman I rent the room from, she was going like the devil and tried to kill me and hurt me very much. she did many things to hurt me. And I have already told you about it in this room in the house in Virginia Beach. And I talk about it a little now. So you that have followed me, you remember that I have already told you these things. But I'm not going to repeat everything. So it's only a small part. She drew me to that church, and she was going also. And she always put very much lipstick, makeup things. And she had very reaching. She was like someone you saw, because she was not only loudly in her voice, but she had always those very eye looking at her clothes, and like screaming red clothes, red orange clothes with hat in the same style and same color, and she stick out always. And this church, Rock Church, you maybe have been there. You know, it's hard to know how many people there is in the church, but maybe it must be over 1,000 people there in the service. I don't know, but it is one of United States' biggest church, so that's many people, and it's a big church. I'm sorry if it's my stomach sounds, because I have not eaten breakfast yet, so I'm hungry. But you are coming first, and God's message coming first. And she was total crazy, and one day when we were to that church, I was thinking I am going to go and ask the church to help me in my situation. So I went to some ministers, church workers, ministers, and I say I have problem. I have nowhere to stay. I have a room at a lady's house, but she is very evil to me, and I'm scared to be there. And they say, we don't have any room. We don't have any place for you, they say. And when I turn around to go to the car, that woman, she have left me in the church. And I was there, and it was Easter, and I was wondering what to do, and then they told me that I could wait because there is a second service the same day. So they say that I could wait in their prayer room. So they left me in the prayer room, and I sit there, and I had no food to eat. I was hungry, and no one come with anything for me. And I sit there about 2-3 hours, and I sit there in the prayer room, and I was by myself. But of some reason, and I know today that those in afterlife have told me to bring with me painting tools. I have paper and a pen to make drawings. So what come into the prayer room, I make drawings of them, of what's going on in the prayer room. And it was like one woman that she was special. She was not walking around. She looked out in the window outside, and I make a drawing of her. And then later on, I show someone wanted to see what I was drawing in the prayer room, and one say that drawing is that woman that had paid. She supported this prayer room by giving money. When she passed away, she donated money for this prayer room. She say, and then she walked to. It was a picture, a photography, a small one that I had not seen, and she showed me this how she looked like, and it was exactly the same as I have make a drawing of. So I saw her, even if she had passed away. But that woman that showing me the picture, she didn't know what was going on. So it was only for me to know that this woman have I make a drawing of, because she was standing and looking out in the window. And she didn't walk around, only look out. And so after 2-3 hours, there come people into the prayer room that belong to the church. And I asked if someone could help me to come back to where I was staying. And they were very hurry. And they say they couldn't drive me back to the house. They could drive me back to the house after the service. So I was to the second service also. And then it was a couple that drove me. It was those close to the bishop in the church. So they were very high up in the church. And then when we come to that house where I rent a room, I'd be surprised that they say, but it was acceptable because it was nothing to do more to let me go out from the car. But they turned around to me and they said, we will pray for you. And not only that they say it, they pray for me. And they say, we let you out here, but we are not going with you to the house, they say. And I didn't need to ask why, because that was okay. It was only over the street, and there was the house. And and that showing later on that they have been inside that house and they have prayed for that woman, evil woman, and the house, and they told me that they have failed to pray for that house. It was a real a devil's house I lived in. So they couldn't help that woman. They couldn't help anything in that house because it was doomed. And I know it now because she left United States to go to Germany to a man there, and that area, it doesn't. There is no people living there, but he say he lived there, and that area where she come to, it's in German language, so she didn't read it or could understand it, but I know German, and it says the Devil's Hill, and there is no houses built there. It's some more like they spy from there, that hill. It's built like that, and she come there, and then she find out that she should not live with him. He was already married, and he didn't want her there. And she called me and asked me to help her to come back to United States, and I didn't want to help her to come back because she should harass me and do evil things to me and maybe kill me. So I couldn't help her. And that was the same thing with these people. They couldn't help her. She had to fight her own fight with her father, the devil. I didn't tell you the whole story about when I come to that house. I be so shocked when we turn. It was a curve to come up to that street. And when we turn around in the curve, did I see that street that I had a vision about? I'd be so shocked, because in the vision was it this street, but it was Nordic birch tree. So I didn't know, because I have lived in Texas and there were no birch tree there, as what I could see. But there was the street full of birch tree. And that woman that come and met me in Greyhound bus station, she had the same dress like the woman I saw in the vision. She was, in the vision, she ran into the house. So I didn't really saw her, but I remember her dress, and I thought it was a young woman, so I was not thinking about it for a long time. But then she have this. I have met people that can change their way to look like. They can be one day black hair and next day light color in their hair and without doing anything. They only switch to different personality, and when they switch to the different personality, they also can change their hair color. And the first time I heard about this, the change of the hair color, was about the Titanic, the boat, the ship that drove to iceberg and it sank. And they say, those witnesses, that those people that was laying in the water, it was not, I understand it now, and it was not that they was frozen so they be white in their hair. It was of the fear and what the states of mind they had when they were laying in the water and hope that a boat should come and pick them up. And of scares, they changed their color of the hair to be like white, light hair, even if they were maybe have black hair. So it can happen. It's very strange, but it is a reaction of the brain. And like my grandkids, they were truly blonde. And then when my son say, I don't want you to contact us anymore, I don't want you in my life, he said to me. And when I saw the last picture, those kids have turned around to have black hair. They have white hair, and then suddenly they got black hair. And that's how they have been treated. So they go to the dark side. And those in the water, they go into the light side. So they were okay. Not in this life, but in the afterlife. And so that was about. And then I find out that the founder that gave money to this church, it was Pat Robertson and his CBN, television and radio. He started with radio and television, and I didn't know who he was more than he was a founder and a radio station man. And I was to his television and his the university, Reagan's university, I think the name is, sometimes because I wanted to talk to Pat Robertson. And the first time I met him when he was going back to his office after lunch. And it was only me and he in the corridor, in the hall. And he stopped like he was giving a message. I have seen that before, that God gave him a message, or those in afterlife gave him a message about me. And he stopped in his walk and was like giving the message. And then he looked at me. I was the only one in the room that's how God do it. I was alone with Pat Robertson, and he got the message, and thinking very much about it, I saw. And then suddenly he had a pen that he make be better in his pocket, in his suit, his uniform he had. And then he walked away. So I know he got the message. I know God was talking to him. And so I tried to reach him more times. So I was to his office, outside, not inside his office, outside, and waiting and hoping he should pass by me and talk to me. So I was there 4 or 5 times, sitting and waiting for a time. And then suddenly, of course, the security have they notice who was in the front of the office waiting. So they have seen me 4 or 5 times. What's she doing there? And they maybe thought I should kill him. And I come to be a friend to his secretary, and I think she called herself Cookie. I think it was Cookie, and she drive me home 2 times. But the last time I was there, she was not around, and the boss, the manager for the security, the highest person, he come and sit down with me and ask me, "What are you doing here?" And I don't know. I don't remember what I say. But he didn't understood. But it was a message. I suppose I gave him a message that he didn't understood. So when he didn't understood, he didn't take me to Pat Robertson, because I am sure I say I was waiting for Pat Robertson to talk to him. But instead to take me to Pat Robertson, he took me out from the house, and he didn't even took out me from the house. He also walked with me to the outside of the property and make sure that I was gone. And I was really gone, because that was confirm that I have done whatever I could do to reach Pat Robertson and talk to him what God have done in my life. I was sent by God to United States to walk around and check out what's going on in the religious world and what they are doing to the least of people. I was the lowest of every people there, without making drugs or drinking or be mentally sick. I was the lowest, and God did test people in the church to what I was doing. And it's also now to you that listen to my podcast. if you had leftover of money and you give that to your church or synagogue or and mosque, that is better to send it to me, the money, because I need the money as I have been disabled, because in my walk for God, people have not been nice to me, and I have had stress on me so much, so I have got chronic stress and need to get help from the health side and of course God's side also. And he gave me much help, but God waiting for people to have to reach out with their hands. Hands means action. To act is I didn't know why. Why did I say that about hand? It's because he's standing here, but he's not looking. He don't look like God. This is what this. He look almost like this statue about Jesus Christ. He looked like that. So that statue is not a picture of Jesus Christ, but he's showing me like he is that statue, because that means that he is Jesus Christ, and I know that statue that is in many churches. That was done in Denmark, that statue, and in the Mormon church, they have these statues in all the temples, and he looked like that. He's very big statue, almost up to the ceiling, and he's standing here. And he had his hand reach out. I see, because I only see one hand, and it's very much he have sent. I have so much energy on me now. He have touched me with his. It's be like his left hand. For me, it's his right hand, but as he's standing and look at me, it's the left hand. So that's what he means, that those to have your life and you as a person should be on the right side, but you are on the left side of the hand, because you have not done anything. You have not supported me in this walk and this what I do for all those in heaven and for God and all the people that I can see, but not many can see. So that's what is, I don't know, he's doing something with me, so I be like cramp in my body. I have a cramp in my body. I don't know why he do it, but he's telling me that I should send this energy that cause in my body. I'm not frightened. It's that I have a cramp going on in my body, because he's squeezed out all the energy that I have. I'm going to be very tired after this, but I need to eat first and then go to bed to rest a little. He's sending it to you. He's saying Malaysia, it's a Muslim country, but it doesn't matter because Muslims also have Jesus Christ as a prophet. It starts to calm down now. And he's showing me that I have done a picture yesterday about how many countries there is that listen to this podcast, and it's almost all countries in the world now. It's some countries that is very hard to reach with the podcast, but most of countries I have reached. So I start to end this work I do for God in and for the afterlife by doing this podcast. And about Pat Robertson back again. And when I come back to Sweden, and it was very strange because I didn't look for it, but it come up when I turn on my television. And it was when I just come back from United States. So I had a little one for to have place in a car, a small bag, old one that we have in our summer house that I got from my daughter's father to have something in that little house I have got from the social service. And I have electricity, so I could watch television. And I have an antenna on that television because there was nothing to put in to have television. It was only a small house for tools when they do things on their property, grass cutter like that, mow lawn like that. And I live in that small one when I come back to Sweden. And so I only open up the television. I didn't have any remote control. It was old, so I put in the button on the television, and there was a documentary about Pat Robertson. And what? This is the man on television, a documentary about him. I had been. I met Pat Robertson more times, but not alone. I was to that church banquet. It was when I think it was when the male pastor's birthday was, or if it was the church years, I don't know, but I think it was the birthday because only the man got gifts, and Pat Robertson was sitting there at the table of these these people that was so important for the world, and And Pat Robertson gave the pastor a Rolex watch clock, and he playing that he didn't want it. And Pat Robertson say that, I know you don't want expensive gifts, but this clock should you, I say to you, you are not allowed to sell it or not give it away. You need to keep it. It's for you the gift and not everyone else. It was this very, very expensive Rolex with diamonds and things around it. And then on the same birthday banquet I was to, he was giving a luxury boat also. He got very much expensive things. And it was a very big gap. I was homeless and had no income, I had no money at all. But I got some money where I was staying, because when the banquet was in that last year I was in Virginia Beach in United States. I live with those Muslim people, so I got some money for taking care of their kids. So I got some money, and then I go to the thrift store, and I needed to have some clothes to the banquet. I didn't have any fancy clothes, so and at the banquet we were only about 30 people, so I knew I needed to have very expensive clothes on me, nice, not nice, but like more powerful. And now I don't remember the bishop that still is alive, but I think she is sick now, so she maybe can leave soon. And I bought in the thrift store for my money. I told them that I should go to a banquet for the church, this famous church, Pat Robertson's church, I say. And I got some clothes. I took some, it was black clothes in the background, but it was gold on all the whole clothes. I have black pants, long pants, but it was like a dress over me, and it was long until my knees, and it was lots of gold on it. And then I got the Muslim people be impressed of that I should go to this banquet, and they told me that they are going to help me to drive me to that church, and they were Muslim, and I'd be very surprised that they wanted to come so close to that church. But I saw that they were curious where I was going, because they saw my clothes. And so I got some small things from the Muslim woman to bring with me. It's like a bag, a handbag that she had that was very famous. It was expensive, very expensive, and other things. And I had bring with me the gold that I got from my mother, so I place on me very much gold also, to really be like a Christmas tree. And I come to that banquet, and that I don't remember now the woman, the pastor, bishop, what her name is, but I'm going to write it on this episode's information. I give you her name and his name, the church name, everything you need to know. And she come. I sit at the table where it was 4 other women there that was not so. They have not dressed up, so I was the only one dressed up, and she didn't. The pastor bishop say she only look at those other women and say hello, like to everyone, hello. But with me, she shake my hand and say, "What beautiful you are tonight." She was shocked that I could dress like I did, and because she had been like my mother in the church, and I had talking to her many times. And in the church I had decent clothes, but modest clothes in the church. Clean, nice clothes, but modest. And on this banquet that didn't belong inside the church. It was in another place. She be impressed that she have not seen me like that. And so I was in that church, and it was so strange with the church, because they was like they didn't see me more than I talked to them, but I could walk around wherever I wanted to go inside that church, behind that church, behind the altar, like that, and no one stopped me. And I saw so much things that I learned how much food they eat after the service, that it was very much expensive, clean food, not that someone have given them. They maybe have given them a special for the pastor and this, but it was not simple food. It was really expensive food, and they were drinking wine and those things that I'd be surprised that how can they live like that and preach something else to people, and they themselves is allowed to do whatever they say that people should not do, and they do it. It's like they think they are a special people, that they are out from all rules and laws. And I have seen it many times in my life about it. And they can have their pleasure in this world, But they gonna be surprised when they come to the heavenly court. They may be coming into heaven, but maybe not where they think they will come to be. They maybe come to this meadow where they are running like children and have no clue what have happened to their life before they come to that place. They don't remember anything. They are dead, but dead in that way that they are playing like kids. Dead can means more than to pass away. Dead is when you don't receive anything. That means also winter, when everything is stand on hold. I have explained this for you many times in my episodes. And yesterday I saw it was someone that have downloaded 144 episodes. So there is people that really want to understand. And I love you for that. And I love you that in the future understand and want to know all these episodes I have recording. And it's only they in the afterlife that know the future. I don't know the future. But I can say that I love you that take this serious. So, Pat Robertson died yesterday. And I think he was 93 years old. And I didn't know how powerful he was when I met him in Virginia Beach. And the only thing I can say, I'm not angry at him. He lost the knowledge. But I want to tell him that I hope he rests in peace. But he maybe is the one of the kids in the meadow. Maybe. I am not in the court. I am not in the heavenly court. So I don't know. I can only assume a little thinking, like, where do they go? But it's not me to judge. I only have told you what I know about Pat Robertson, and that is not political things. I am not into the political things. But of course I listen sometimes of what's happening in the world political, and I can think about what they are saying and doing, but I am not interested of it. But I can tell that something going very wrong in what the decision the political people do. And of course I'm wondering also why those presidents should be so old, so they can't hardly walk. And very much things popping up from their enemies about their early life. I should not want anyone to talk about my early life because I was not good. I'd fight really with a fist, and I was almost to kill people sometimes because I was so angry. But today I know the anger I got in those fights, that anger was about what have happened in my childhood. And it had nothing to do with that person. It was only like a nail they place into this bubble of abuse in the childhood. They pinch it and come out the anger of everything that happened in my childhood. And God knows that. God knows about you where the anger is coming from. And that is something that he say that when you start to walk in the truth, in the spirit and truth, you are forgiven for that, because we know where your anger is coming from. That is, the Spirit is here now touching me, because He is sending this out to you, that it will hit you whenever you listen at this podcast, that you are forgiven, because they know where you are coming from. It's not coming from nowhere. It have coming maybe very much about abuse of taking drugs and drinking, and then it's coming from what you have experienced as a child. And they know it. They know it. Yeah. I want you to cry tears, because I see the tears coming out from you, because now you get the truth about where your anger is coming from. The anger is not directed to that person. It's come from the inside of you. So He's sending healing energy to you now. That's why He touched me, because I have told some people that about my childhood, how I was killed. My adopted sister pushed me out in the street, and a truck drove over me, and I was dead. And then come God and wake me up. And in that waking up, He gave me the healing energy inside me. So God doesn't send this healing energy to you from Him. He's sending the energy healing from me, from my body, to you. God knows that I have that healing, and I have done those many healings on people and that have not been from God. It's squeezing out from my body. So I need to heal my own body. And people ask, why do you have this problem with your body? But I tell them that, but people don't understand, but I tell them anyway, that when Jesus was on the cross or on the pole, those two thieves on his side, they ask Jesus, if you are the Son of God, help yourself, as they say. why can't God help you down from the pole or the cross? That's what they're asking. And that is the same with my body, is going to kill me very soon if I don't get a solution of this health problem. And that is not on God. It is on people, the action. When there was many people around Jesus when he was hanging on the cross, but no one helped him down. And Jesus, he doubted, and he lost some of his connection with God by saying this to God, crying out to God and saying, "Why have you forgotten me?" But God had not forgotten Jesus. God was waiting for action from people around there. They could easily take down Jesus from the cross. And maybe they did that also, but they didn't do that before the soldiers say he was gone, he died. And they took him down in his tomb grave, and then he was gone. But he was dead when they picked him down on the cross. But he was gone from the grave. And that story is what some of us, some of you know what's happened, because the soldier was there and they were close to the grave, and someone helped Jesus come out from the grave. I don't say it's 100% truth, but I think someone make Jesus come alive again when he was laying there in the more cold room. He have hanging on the cross in the sunshine, and then they pick him into this grave that was cold, and he start to come to life again, like I did in the tomb. I was laying like a child when I was thrown over the track, and I come to wake up again from death. And so the same, I think it was with Jesus to do. But I should never doubt God that he have left me, because I know so much. I know more than Jesus in that situation, that it's in God's will, whatever will happen. And that is God waiting for people to act, because in my life I have been experienced how much, how little there is people that want to help, and it's almost nothing they have helped me through the whole life. And now I sit here recording and have a life-threatening chronic stress in my brain, and I need to go move to a place where I can rest the brain. And it's not here, because I have bad people around me and killing around me. So that's not good. But I will say, I stay here. I hope a little longer time, because I need to do all the work the afterlife want me to do. And I tell you that I get more and more young people and old people also from the Mormon church that is my friend of Facebook, and they can read and they can listen at my podcast what I have to tell them. So that is very great. So maybe the afterlife will make me be heard from the Mormon church, because it need a change in the Mormon church, because they are walking in the wrong direction now. They have to be careful, because it was a warning when this trumpet angel broke down from the temple in Salt Lake City. The temple square, temple in Salt Lake City, their angel on the floor broke down. That was a warning from God. They need to change. They go in the wrong direction. So thank you for listening. It come a little cramp here, and breathing out the spirit I had from afterlife that come in. It was Jesus Christ, and I understand why he is not one of the highest priests in heaven, because he doubted God when he was on the cross. So those other highest priests, I have seen at least 6 highest priests. They have not doubted God in that way. They have stay firm until the end, until they going over to the other side, to going to heaven. They have standing firm, and that you need to do, because the devil is going to whisper in your ear. But you say, I don't listen at you anymore, because I want to move forward. I want to go in the right direction. I don't want to listen at you. I listen to God's people, the light of angels that are coming from heaven. They are coming from heaven. They are not white angels coming from the dark side. That's you can't fool me anymore, because I am a child of God, and I want to grow up to be more than a child. And you can't cut me off from growing up. It's time for me to grow up, you say to the devil when he tried to whisper in your ear. So I didn't know that I should say it like that, but it's very important thing I say this, that you should daily say that to the one that try to whisper in your ear to change your mind. So thank you, and God bless you. I love you, all you that have listened. And are going to listen in the future. Thank you.